Travis Wingate. So, growing up Mormon, I thought was a really cool thing. Even though in primary, sitting in the back of the primary class, I was making up my own lyrics to the songs. And even though I was recognizing the contradictions and incorrect information being passed down from everybody in the various organizations, I still perceived myself as being special, and in that sense privileged. That when the two girls wanted to do their grade school project on the Ouija board, they did a demonstration in class, and then they went home and tried it, and came back to school the next day all scared and terrified. I still remember thinking to myself that, yeah, I'm in the right church. I'm warned about staying away from that kind of stuff. And then I go to Rick's, and a couple of the peers there decide they want to hold a seance. So they try it, and then they end up getting all weird and scared. And then the guys ask for a priesthood blessing from the dorm father, because the dorm father's telling them they're stupid. And so when I had to decide what course in life, what career field am I going to go into, the only thing I really wanted to do with my life was to be an ancient translator, so that I can know what Joseph Smith knew. Because it didn't occur to me that the reason why the presidents of the church have not done anything since Joseph Smith was that they don't have the key of translation. And so for me, I thought, oh, this is a wide open field for me to pursue, and I can show that the church is true, and everything will be great. So I go and do that, graduate, and I'm tricked into coming to Utah. It was a dual attack, the parents and the wife. In February, after we moved in August to Utah, and so in February I make my Paleo-Hebrew decipherment. And in April, the wife was gone with the kids and the property, saying, I don't want my kids learning Hebrew. As I was showing that Joseph Smith was correct, and I thought, therefore, the church was correct as well. My parents were not happy about me being a translator either. So when my dad found out I was pursuing Egyptian, he thought he would shut me down. He found a computer test online, had me take it. As he watched every question that I answered, and I got 100%. And that shut him down rather than shutting me down. He was literally shocked that I was getting 100%. When he took it, he didn't. But parents still refused to back off and leave me alone. They still insisted on causing problems in my life because I pursued translation, which was a disapproving job. The bishop we had helped the wife as he disapproved of my pursuing translation. And other bishops, stake presidents, didn't like me pursuing translation. Farms definitely didn't like me pursuing translation. They went so far as to say Joseph Smith is wrong, and you're wrong, therefore, Travis. They had no interest in helping Mormons see that Joseph Smith was right. It's all just a warm, fuzzy feeling society for them. Deceiving Mormons into what doesn't need to be deceived. Like I said, I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. I found out Joseph's King Follett Discourse translation of the biblical Hebrew text was right on target. Right on target. Stay on target. I'm breaking up! Stay on target. Star Wars. The original. Which is 4, I guess. Unless they do the Old Republic. I really want them to do the Old Republic. I read several of the comic strips of the Old Republic. I want to see the Old Republic in movies. Disney Plus, if you're listening, can you do me a favor, though? I know you've got The Mandalorian, and I think you've got some other stuff coming out, but if you can do me a favor, though. And, yeah, so farms banned me. But then they kept coming after me. They found out I was in the church curriculum, working on the second revision for the foreign language editions, and tried to have me booted out. The only thing that saved me was because Hinckley got involved when F. Michael Watson tried to have me booted out. And so yeah, everybody's been attacking me since I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, and then went on to decipher Egyptian petroglyphs, and went on to discover that, hey, the Bible came from the Egyptian petroglyphs. Isn't that interesting? They don't use the Egyptian names, they use Hebrew names. And so yes, Egyptologists were right about the Joseph Smith papyri. There is no Hebrew name Abraham anywhere to be found. But that's what happens when you're not very bright on translation, let alone ancient translation. Because the apologists were trying to tell them, oh, it's got to be a hidden code in there somewhere, or it's going to be seriously? Has it been this long? Transliteration from Egyptian, or from Hebrew into Egyptian, so that it would be spelled out in Egyptian characters, but be pronounced Abraham. No, guys, no. If you're looking for Abraham, you're looking for Egyptian characters who are doing what Abraham is doing. So when Abraham goes and sacrifices Isaac, which Egyptian picture would you use? Facsimile number 1. But Joseph Smith decided to say, oh, well, Abraham too was also attempted to be sacrificed on an altar, and gives us a unique perspective. But it's not incorrect. Osiris is Abraham. He's Abraham on numerous occasions in the Bible. But he's also Abel, the one who was murdered by his brother Seth. In this case, Cain. In the Bible, the Egyptian stories came directly into the Bible stories. That's how they did it. They just changed the names into the Hebrew language. And that's why the Hebrew Bible says, thus they called him Jacob, because he tried to usurp the brother's authority by coming out first. So the story of Jacob is about Jacob usurping Esau's birthright and blessing. And so it's not necessarily an actual story that occurred. But archaeologists who are Bible thumpers, wanting to go prove the Bible true, that creation was on just one day of 24 hours, and God has such magic powers that we can prove it with science. Yeah, how's that going? But yeah, they can't find King David in Jerusalem. Wonder why. Because the Egyptians have them in Egypt. And that one is transliterated. So, yeah, even the church. When I filed my petition, I again put in translations from Greek and Hebrew, and put in my latest discovery that the pictorial spelling of Yah, the Hebrew god, and Zeus, without the us, because that's the masculine singular ending, are the same. And nobody likes that, because technically the Jews are not Semitic. They're Hamido. Israel was a part of Egypt. And so when you read in the Bible that Nimrod is a descendant of Ham, but yet he goes out of his birthright blessing land to go found Assyria in Shem? I don't think so. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, then Joseph Smith, facsimile number 1, figure 10. What does it say? And where is this scene taking place? Because we're told in the story that it's Ur of Chaldea, or the Chaldees, whichever one is which. And so everybody assumes, oh, it's Ur of Babylon. That's where the Temple of Marduk is. That still remains to this day. And the Iraqi Mormons who went there, and others, said, oh yeah, that's the Tower of Babel. No! People are imposing their religion on archaeology. And they're screwing everything up. They're rewriting history. I don't understand why Mormons aren't interested in Joseph Smith being a translator. I don't know why the church leaders have dropped Translator with Brigham Young. I know why, but I don't understand. If you're going to continue to deceive people, you need to keep translation. And you need to show your translation powers. The prophets went to missions. Many of them. Not most now, but they're not demonstrating their translation ability. Only Uchtdorf is. He teaches us German. Nobody even bothers to say, we're just going to wait because one of us eventually will figure it out. We're not going to bother to study it though because, it's just revelation, right? Isn't that how we're changing the text of Moroni 10:4 and 5? Is you just get revelation and there's your answer? You don't have to actually do some research and decipherment and discovery, work. Faith without works is dead. Seed without fruit is dead. And yet they've changed the doctrine on Mormons as Mormons go around perpetuating the lies and the deceptions. And they don't know it because I'm confounding every Mormon who thinks they're confounding me. And last few times I've tried to hone my skills. That's I think that's number 8 in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It might be number 7, but I can't believe he put out an 8. Totally destroyed his first book by putting out the book with 8. No, you blew it. You had to do it right the first time and you blew it. You created a lose-lose situation. But they could have just faked it. If it's just revelation, they just need to come out and say, "Oh, I got revelation. Here's the book of Judah. I got revelation about Judah. And Judah saw Tamar, and he was told by the Lord, she's a whore, stay away from her. But Judah disobeyed and had sex with her, and then gave birth to what became King David, and eventually Jesus Christ." They could pull some stunt like that, and Mormons would eat it up. But instead, they just remained silent this whole time. When David O. McKay was given the papyra, he gave it to him Hugh Nubley. Oops. Yeah, go ahead and tell Mormons you don't have the key of translation. That'll go over well. And sure enough, Egyptologists from around the world try to look at it and then give their report on it. No, we can't find the Hebrew name Abraham in this Egyptian text. And all Mormons go silent. Oh, the church may not be true. Oh no! God. What an humiliating disgrace. As I'm here, and everybody in Mormondom want me dead, want me silenced, want me gone, because they're ashamed of Joseph Smith, because they've trusted in the church that said, nope, he's not a translator, never was, never claimed to be. If you look at the Gospel Topic Essay written by John Gee and approved by the leaders of the church to be put in there, and cause 11 million Mormons to say, I don't know anything to do with this church, I'm out. But yeah, translation and historicity of the Book of Abraham. I couldn't believe it when I read it. They were taking the logic that I confronted them with, saying, hey, Joseph Smith is a translator. And so since then, they had to come out with, no, he's just a revelator. He's not a real translator. Because we're ashamed in front of the real translators in the world who have the key of translation, and we don't. All of them at BYU. Even that new Michelson, whatever his name is. It was just a joke. He went, took maybe 1 or 2 years of Egyptian. Now he's the expert at BYU. He's the new guy. He's going to replace John Gee and Rhodes and Nibley. And what does he do? Does he do anything? Nope. Just like John Gee. Yeah, this is the history of how we got the papyri. It was originally from a guy who was trying to go around having displays of the mummies. Yeah, so what? You don't need to have a retelling of that story. But that's what they do. They publish books retelling the story. They don't do any translation work. Rhodes did. I corrected his Outer Rim translation. Oh my God. And he didn't even mention where the missing portion came from the book of Joseph. Apparently he found that too embarrassing and humiliating for the church, and so he didn't put it in there. You know, those who are in the position to defend and prove the church true have failed Mormons. And so a guy like me comes along saying, yeah, church is true, Joseph Smith is a prophet and a translator, and I'm going to find out for myself. Because that's what we do. We go around in missions saying, you can find out for yourself if the church is true. Faith without works is dead. So, you know, would it be right of me not to follow my own advice? So yeah, I went and did it. Sure enough, Joseph Smith is a translator. And this is how you finish his work. This is the errors he made, and this is the correction. And it's real simple. I just walked right into it. You know, as a kid, sitting on the chair in the living room watching TV, I get inspired, despite what my dad thought. And had planned it all out. I had made a photocopy of a map of the world, and it was blank so that I could, you know, do dots and lines. I was going to travel the world and go to all the mysteries that nobody has figured out. And so I was going to start by going up into Bigfoot territory and eventually go to Egypt. And never fulfilled that, what do they call it? I don't know. Things I do before I die. I don't know what the word is that they use for that. But yeah, I was always wanting to discover something that nobody else had. And at one point in my life, I thought, you know what? Everybody's already found everything. I'm getting pretty desperate if I'm trying to search for Bigfoot. And yeah, just walked right into the field. Had no idea that it needed to be deciphered. Even John Tvetnes, the church's Hebrew expert, who's now retired, I hope, and even did his thesis paper on how Hebrew is Semitic. And yes, Hebrew is Semitic, but that's not the origin. Paleo-Hebrew is the origin. Remember, the Babylonians captured Jerusalem, took them hostage into Babylon, in the city of Ur, in a specific building complex where they were housed, where we found documents from them, so we knew exactly where they were. And yet, despite Daniel trying to warn Jews to not be Hellenists, or Greeks, as you guys know it, instead they decided to use Babylon as the means of trying to teach them not to be Greek, by teaching them not to be Babylonian. And yet we call them Semitic to this day. Semitic language, Semitic people, Semitic culture, Semitic holidays, Semitic this, Semitic that. And Daniel said, no, don't do that, remain Jewish. Where did the Jews come from? Egypt. They're Hamido. So, alrighty. I mean, it's just the realization that Mormons want me dead, they want me gone, they want me silenced, they put thumbs down, all this other crap, is all because I'm a translator? That Joseph Smith is right? It goes without, it's just unbelievable. I mean, maybe Mormons are ashamed, thinking that, oh, Egyptologists know more than me. I'm just a deceiver. I'm going to let the church down. I won't actually be right. Yeah, so you trusted Mark Hoffman instead? So you trusted Hugh Nibley instead? I mean, Mormons need to understand none of the prophets have done anything with translation. That is enough to say, I don't think this is the right church anymore. Don't think we're in Kansas, let alone Missouri. Where's Toto? Toto? If only I could just click my heels 3 times. There's no place like anywhere else. There's no place like anywhere else. Should I do that as the title? Will that catch Mormons' attention? Or should I do one of Mormons have no faith in Joseph Smith as a translator? My Molly Mormon one only got 1 view. Nobody wants that video.